Then the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and threw it to the earth. And there were noises, thunderings, lightnings, and an earthquake. In our last study, we learned that the lightning, thunder, and voices typify the opening of the seals, which are an understanding and outline of the Lord's purpose in the earth summed up in the great day of his wrath. The actual occurrence of this purpose is the sounding of the trumpets and the pouring out of the bowls, which are a manifestation of the 7 prophecies. Think of the 7 prophecies, the 7-sealed book, and the 7 trumpets and bowls as different facets of the same diamond. In other words, the first prophecy corresponds to the first seal, which corresponds to the first trumpet and bowl. The same is true for each one that follows. Since 7 denotes manifestation, the 7th prophecy, seal, trumpet, and bowl sum up the preceding 6, showing the overall purpose of every prophecy, seal, trumpet, and bowl, which is his righteous judgment in the earth. As Revelation 8:5 shows, the lightning, thunder, voices, and earthquake follow immediately after the fire of the altar is thrown to the earth. What does this fire symbolize? In this series, I've alluded to the fact that the fire from the altar denotes the lake of fire seen elsewhere in Revelation. I hold to this understanding. Tradition has long succeeded in convincing us that fire in Scripture is a negative element, especially because it's connected to the idea of eternal torment. Yet, we're told that God is a consuming fire, while the Lord stated quite emphatically, "I came to cast fire on the earth, and would that it were already kindled." He came to cast fire on the earth? That's what he said. Might this align with the fire from the altar? I believe it does. What many don't realize is that fire is not a substance, but a process known as oxidation. So when we read that God is a consuming fire, it points to his divine process in the earth, which accomplishes his purpose. So, regarding fire, let's go with the principle of first mention. Here it is. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning, the first day. Genesis chapter 1, verse 3. First mention, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw that the light was good. Then he separated the light from the darkness. Friend, this was not the creation of the sun, for that wasn't done until the 4th day. So what was this light? I am inclined to go with the following. This is the message we have heard from him and proclaimed to you, that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. In keeping with this, Jesus said this. Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." We also read this. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. Light equals life. Therefore, our Maker pronounced it good and separated it from darkness, the opposite of light. The light in Jesus' day was fire. Therefore, fire signifies the process of light and life. This is why Jesus said he came to cast fire on the earth. The fire from the altar is no exception. It is light and life, especially when we recognize its source, which is the brazen altar and the golden altar of incense. The first typifies self-sacrifice, while the second is the prayers of grace and mercy, which flow from these self-sacrificed ones in unison with the heart of God. In the previous study, we found that lightning is seen coming out from the throne. It's also in the 7th seal, trumpet, and bowl. Isn't lightning a form of intense fire and light? That being said, let's go to the fifth seal for a moment and consider an interesting statement. Then a white robe was given to each of them, and it was said to them that they should rest a little while longer, until both the number of their fellow servants and their brethren, who would be killed as they were, was completed. Here we see that the souls under the altar are told to rest a little while longer, until both the number of their fellow servants and their brethren, who would be killed as they were, was completed. Who would be killed as they were? Yes, which brings us to the following. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, Loose the four angels, which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. The first thing to note in these passages is that the voice John heard came from the four horns of the golden altar, connecting this to Revelation 8:3 and 5 and the fifth seal. Secondly, we have an hour and a day, or time, followed by a month and a year, or season. And the purpose for this time and season? To slay or kill the third part of men. Here's what the next verse says. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. The number of the army of the horsemen? What horsemen? The four horsemen of the first four seals? Yes, the army of the four horsemen. And again, their purpose? To slay the third part of men. What comes next? And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. Here John tells us that those riding the horses have breastplates of fire, jacinth, and brimstone, going on to state that out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. It's this which kills the third part of men. Fire, jacinth, brimstone. Fire, smoke, brimstone. Our word brimstone means sulfur-like, that is, sulphurous, derived from the root theon, meaning sulfur. Here's what Vine's Expository Dictionary tells us regarding theon. Originally denoted fire from heaven, it is connected with sulfur. Places touched by lightning were called dea, and as lightning leaves a sulfurous smell, and sulfur was used in pagan purifications, it received the name of theon. What is lightning? Fire from heaven. In our next study, we will continue our examination of the fire from the altar. Please feel free to subscribe to this channel and to leave your comments. I sincerely appreciate all who have done so and look forward to sharing more studies in the days ahead.